Alright guys, we have an article that we have to talk about. Now, I'm not some far right-wing channel or anything, I just think the drama surrounding Star Wars right now is absolutely crazy, and the showrunner for The Acolyte has responded to all of the criticism of the show, so let's go ahead and see what she has to say. So, this is the article, it's from the New York Post. The article title is "Queer Creator of Gayest Star Wars Series Claps Back at Haters Who Claim It's Woke Propaganda with Lesbian Space Switches." Now, I am very curious to see what Leslie Headland has to say because there's been a lot of discourse about this show. We've even got Amanda Stenberg making a diss track and everything, but whatever, let's continue. So, the creator of the controversial Disney Star Wars show, The Acolyte, is pushing back against those who say that her show is woke propaganda featuring lesbian space witches, slamming the criticism as reductive. Okay, Leslie Headland, the first openly queer person to create a major Star Wars project, as The Hollywood Reporter described her, spoke to the outlet this week about the backlash the show has gotten for its progressive themes, telling the outlet that she never intended to make a show with an overt political agenda, even if it contains some LGBTQ messaging. Now, I don't agree with that at all. That makes no sense to me. There is some definitely overt messaging in the show, like absolutely, and the fact that she's saying she didn't intend to make a show with that political agenda is an absolute lie, in my opinion, because she was marketing the show as that. Before the show came out, she was saying she's so proud of it, it's the gayest Star Wars ever, it resembles her life as a lesbian woman and all this stuff, so she clearly put this in the show intentionally. I don't know why she's saying she didn't intend to make a show with political agenda in it, because you absolutely did. But anyways, let's continue. I don't believe that I've created queer with a capital Q content. You absolutely have. There's nothing wrong with that, but at least be honest about it. Like, you're saying you didn't, but then in the show, we absolutely do have lesbian space witches. We have two women in a relationship, clearly, and they have a baby together and all that, like, and they're witches and they're in space. Lesbian space witches, that's what they are. Just say it, don't deny it. But anyways, let's continue here. Star Wars The Acolyte has proven to be one of the most divisive entries in the Star Wars franchise since its debut on Disney's streaming platform earlier this month. Despite being a hit with critics, it currently features an 85% Rotten Tomatoes rating among professional movie reviewers. It has a 14% audience score, the lowest rating in that category among all Star Wars content. Now, I know some people are going to say, oh, it's review bombing, sure, yeah, some of them are, but there's also positive review bombing, and there's no way for you to actually get the numbers of how many negative review bombs there are and how many positive ones there are. All you need to know is there are both, and a lot of people on Twitter are refusing to acknowledge that there is positive review bombing, because there absolutely is, but they say, no, there isn't, blah, blah. There is. And, it shows when there's new accounts that are made on Rotten Tomatoes just to give this show a 5 out of 5, that's a positive review bomb, okay? The majority of those, obviously some people could be new users and give it a 5 out of 5, which I think is ridiculous, because you mean to tell me this show is perfect? It is not perfect. Anyways, so lowest rating in that category among all Star Wars content. The Disney-owned film franchise has been criticized by fans in recent years who claim the company has embraced woke storylines and characters, which they have, once again, admit it, stop denying it, with fans slamming The Acolyte as the most progressive one yet. Which I agree. We have the lesbian space witches, we got the pronouns in episode 4, and then what was the other thing? Oh yeah, Jackie apparently has feelings for Osha, which Daphne Keane, the actor who plays Jackie and X-23 in the Marvel movies, she confirmed that there is romantic feelings between Jackie and Osha, which you didn't really need that in the show, I don't think. But anyways, we'll continue. So there's a photo of Leslie Headland. The show's LGBTQ reputation has preceded itself, generating a now viral moment where a journalist from The Wrap told Headland and non-binary series star Amanda Stenberg during an interview that the show is arguably the gayest Star Wars by a considerable margin, which it is. and she was marketing it as that. She was saying it's very diverse, it's very progressive, and all that stuff. She says here, it says, though she and the actor were amused by the question, Headland suggested it wasn't something she was aiming for. It absolutely is, because you didn't deny it in that interview. She does not deny it. They just start giggling, and then she goes, oh, I'm into it. So, like, you can't just back up on your word now. Right here, it says, frankly, I'm into it. During her recent interview with The Hollywood Reporter, Headland appeared inclined to temper some of the reaction to her interview with the Wrap. I was surprised by the question, she said, which obviously you were. I don't think she was expecting that question at all. Amanda and I just burst out laughing because that's our knee-jerk reaction to being asked that. But to be honest, I don't know what the term gay means in that sense. You absolutely do. Come on. I don't believe that I've created queer with a capital Q content. Sure, I don't think she has. This obviously isn't like a gay show per se, but it feels like they're doing as much as they possibly can without it getting that official title. Because obviously this isn't going to be like in the LGBTQ section of Disney Plus, but it's getting close, you know, like they're doing a lot without actually giving it that title. And then on top of that, the one thing I will say about that interview with the Wrap is Amanda Stenberg also said, like, oh, nerds are gay, and like, if it was reversed, like, imagine someone said, oh, all nerds are straight, like, there would be a bit of backlash. And I get it, she was joking, but like, why are you joking about that? You know that's going to be a controversial statement. Like, why even make it? I don't get it. It's not funny. Majority of nerds are not gay, like the interviewer said, so I don't know why she said that, but whatever. We'll continue. It says, Headland also weighed in on controversial storyline in episode 3 of The Acolyte, which seemed to confirm critics' worst fears about overt LGBTQ propaganda being part of the show. The narrative in question implied that two powerful witches belonging to an all-female society used forced magic to generate their female offspring. The twin main sisters of the show, played by Stenberg, which is Osha and May. It says here, the narrative in question implied... okay, I just read that. In social media circles, disgruntled fans started mocking the series for having made lesbian space witches a legitimate part of the Star Wars canon, which they did. Like, once again, I don't know why you're trying to deny that or whatever. You absolutely did exactly what that says. Lesbian space witches. That's what they did. Just admit it. Stick with it. You know? And then it says here, Headland slammed that reading of the episode, telling the outlet, they're in a matriarchal society. As a gay woman, I knew it would read that their sexuality is queer, but there also aren't any men in their community, so a closeness between the two of them would be natural. It seemed plot-driven. No, it didn't. You didn't need that at all. You could have literally had the, what is her name, Mother Anastasia. You could literally just have her create the Force babies using the thread. You could have easily done that, but instead, you obviously portrayed them in a lesbian relationship, and that's what you showed us in the show. So I don't understand why they're kind of backtracking now. But anyways, it wasn't plot-driven, I will say that, because like I said, Mother Anastasia, you could have literally just had her create May and Osha. There you go. I would say it's really reductive to call them lesbians. They absolutely are. I don't know what else you would call them, like really, really close friends. No. I think it means you're not really paying attention to the story. A lot of people are paying attention to the story, and that's exactly what you showed us. Headland reiterated that though she isn't making an LGBTQ series, she stands by the queerness of the show. You just said... She's saying there's queerness in the show, but then she's, like, not confirming it. I don't get it. And then the other thing I will say is there's been a lot of discourse online talking and debating whether May and Osha's forced birth ruins the Anakin birth, and I don't think it ruins it, but it definitely taints how special it is. And I get it, you know, people are saying, oh, well, May and Osha were made by manipulating the Force or the thread, so it's different than the Force creating Anakin. That's just a lot of hoops you gotta jump around to say that it's slightly different, and it absolutely does taint the Anakin story, because when Anakin was shown to be the only kid ever created by the Force, That's special. But now you have 2 other kids. Yes, it might have been a slightly different way, but that's like adults making a baby in different positions, you know what I mean? Like, it's the same thing with the same outcome. It doesn't really matter, you know? It absolutely does taint it, in my opinion. Not as much as some people are saying, but it does affect the Anakin story, 100%. Headland slammed that reading of the episode. I just read that, right? Yeah. So there's a picture of May deciding to be a good guy out of absolutely nowhere in episode 4. It says, I'm proud of being a gay woman who's accomplished this feat, and certainly if my content is called queer, I don't want to disown whatever queerness is in the show. I would be proud to holy, I can't read today. I would be proud to create something that inspired queer people. The creator also slammed fans who spin the show's LGBTQ themes as a negative thing, stating, honestly, I feel sad that people would think that if something were gay, that would be bad. It makes me sad that a bunch of people on the internet would somehow dismantle what I consider to be the most important piece of art that I've ever made. And I get that, you know, as a lesbian woman, you make a show with a bunch of LGBTQ stuff in it. I get it, you're proud of it, it's important to you, but you gotta realize not everyone is part of your little circle, you know? Like, your ideology, your beliefs, your lifestyle is not what the majority of people live. There's a lot of, you know, religious people or just people that don't agree with the LGBTQ stuff. They don't want it in their entertainment. So you can't just say, I'm upset that people don't like the stuff I like. And it's like, you can't do that, because I guarantee you if they made like a heavy religious show or whatever, she probably wouldn't like it that much and would probably have some complaints about it. So you can't just flip the script and you make something controversial and then be upset that people don't like it for that. That makes no sense, you know? Like, Disney's a family company, you know? A lot of families are going to watch this, and now there's a lot of people I've seen on Twitter complaining that they gotta explain to their kids, you know, about the lesbian witches and the pronouns and all this stuff. Like, you're making controversial content, and you're surprised at the backlash. It makes no sense to me at all. And it wouldn't be that big of a deal, but it's just the fact that the show isn't good. So now it highlights a whole bunch of other stuff. Because if the show was awesome, people wouldn't really care about this. But the fact that the show is bad, in the majority of the audience's opinion, then people are going to start pointing out things like this. Like, honestly, the pronoun thing, yeah, it didn't need to be in there. It absolutely could have been cut out. It wasn't necessary to the story at all. But the fact that it was in there for the 2 seconds that it was, you know, people are going to point that out because the episode overall was bad. So it's like a whole toxic cycle right here. And I don't really agree with anything Leslie is saying in this article. You know, she's kind of backing up on her word. She's not embracing the LGBTQ aspects of her show, really. She's kind of saying, oh, if people saw it like that, that's wrong. If they're upset about it, that's bad. Like, you gotta own up to it. You put this stuff in the show. You're the showrunner. You created it. You're running the show here. You gotta follow through. You gotta, you know, stick up for what you created. And so far, it seems like she's kind of just blaming fans, and it's a joke, you know, in my opinion. But yeah, let me know what you guys think about this article. I think it's actually insane, the fact that she's like saying, oh, I didn't aim to make a queer show, but I'm gonna put as much stuff as I possibly can in it without it actually being labeled that, and then I'm gonna say it's upsetting that people don't like it. It's like, your ideology is not the right one, you know? It doesn't make any sense. I think the show is really, really bad. Like, I think I gave episode 3 and 4, like, a 3 out of 10. Like, it's just fundamentally not a good show. The screenwriting, the dialogue, it's just the character development. Like, you don't care about any of the characters. The story is just bland. Like, there's a lot of negatives people have with the show. And when you have controversial stuff like this as well, then that's where it gets messy. But yeah, guys, let me know down below what you think about this article from the New York Post. Leslie Headland talking about the backlash of the Acolyte. Let me know if you guys agree with her or not. And are you excited for episode 5 releasing tomorrow night?